Hi, I'm Tom. Welcome to Ledgmere. One of the questions that you hear a lot or see a lot is people asking the age of their tractor. And the answer to that is, well, it's a little bit convoluted actually. When you buy a tractor, and I'm going to talk about Farmall tractors today because that's what I have. But all tractors are pretty similar in the fact that they all have a VIN plate stamped on it or attached on a little piece of metal. And using that VIN plate, you can look up and figure out what year the tractor was built. But what do you do if that VIN plate is missing? Well, stick around and I'm going to show you how to find out. This Super C, for example, on the side of the toolbox seat support, you'll see there's a VIN tag right there. And that VIN tag tells me that this tractor was built in 1953. On the floorboards, you can see right here, this right here is the 5 for the 5th month of the year, which is May 19. And then there's a Y here. So this code, I have a way to find out, and I'll show you that in here in a second. And that Y will tell you what year the tractor was built. And you may have to hunt around a little bit to find them. You might have to, even the serial number, you know, on a Super C and a 200, they're basically the same tractor, but the serial number plate's in a different place. On the Super C, like I said, it's on the toolbox. On the 200, it's here on the bell housing, so you'll have to look around a little bit. And there's a lot of ways to find out that too, but let's continue on our mission here. Generally, what's going to happen is you can walk around in different places on the tractor. You can look at the final drive, the footrests, the head, the touch control unit, and you'll find that generally those will all coincide and give you pretty much the same year that it was built. And sure, sometimes you'll find that the tractor might have been built in January of 53, but the touch control unit was built in November of 52. Well, that makes sense. But let's go take a look at something else that's a little confusing, and we'll try to figure out the age of this tractor. So stick around again, and we'll go for a little walk. Here in front of me is what was sold as a Super A. And I'm trying to figure out why, when I bought it, it came with the hood for a Super A, a 100 or a 130, and a 140. It had the nose for a Super A, the nose for a 100 or a 130, and the nose for a 1. The Farmall Super A in 1951 did not have a C123 engine in it. It had a C113. Generally with a Super A, the serial number tag should be right here. But guess what? There wasn't one. And there's nothing on the machine to play. Did someone just buy a block? Find a head somewhere? Just assemble a tractor out of junk parts? Or did somebody actually have like a 51 tractor that was junked out and a 56 tractor that was junked out and made 2 out of 1? I don't even know what tin work to put on this tractor because I have 3 different kinds. You tell me. Another gas tank. I got another hood. There's another hood in behind there. So far I've got a rear end out of a 56, the touch control and a bell housing out of a 51. And then we can go back here and look at the transmission case and see what's on that. Back here in the transmission case, it says 801B, so that's a 56. I have another one here. It's hard to see because it's in behind the oil filter and the hydraulic lines, but it says 1125B, so 56. What year is this tractor? Well, you be the judge, but my guess is that something happened catastrophically to this tractor, which was probably, it's even hard to tell because the transmission rear end is a 56, the touch control and torque tube are a 51, and the motor looks like a 56 with a head from a 51. Did somebody just buy a bunch of parts and make a tractor? I don't know. I do have the right cap, and then I had one of these to put it on because they look incomplete if they don't have that on the front. And I guess I could put this all back together and put the Super A stuff on it and say it's an A1, but I know it's not right. I know there's not a lot on this tractor that's consistent, and the motor out of either a 100 or a 130. And I know that it's a 100 or a 130 because the water pump is down here and a 140 has it up here. So I've been trying to figure out what this tractor is since I got it. The old man said it was a Model A, or a Super A, I should say, which at first looked right because if you look at the grill, it doesn't have a Super C grill. A Super C grill would, I think that the hole would be down further because the hole doesn't line up with the crankshaft on the engine, so you couldn't put a crank in there if you wanted to. So I know that's not right. Just to complicate things even more, it came with another touch control unit, January 18th in a U, which I believe is a 49. And then to add more confusion to confusion, in 1951, International used more than one letter code to designate the year. This thing had a cobbled together fast hitch from a Cub that was all cut up and put on here, and so I tore it all off and put this back on the way it's supposed to be. I have to tighten this up and get the spring on there, and I'll see if I can find a coil spring to go here where the lift assist goes. Everything's been getting cleaned up in behind here. I did replace one fender, the other one was cut. I've got the drawbar support there because I'm going to put my grater blade in the middle, and from what I can tell, you need that in the front to hook hook the grater blade to. I've got the drawbar that came with it. All the nuts and bolts that I put in this tractor are stainless steel, and I put a little bit of Never Seez on a lot of it. A lot of the bolts, not necessarily these, but bolts that I know will have to come off again at some point. I put Never Seez in it because I don't like broken bolts into cast. They're so terrible to get back out. I've got new cables available to change those out. I've got the touch control temperature gauge that I'm going to hook here. I actually have the right part that goes here that the touch control plugs into, so when I service the touch control unit, I'll change it out at that time, because as soon as you pull this out, you're going to lose all your fluid anyway. What I've got here is someone's attempt at a block heater. It comes out the bottom of the radiator, and then the top where the the temperature gauge goes on the other side, runs all the way through down here to this, and there's a heater under it with a cord. So I'm going to tear all that off. I'm never going to run this tractor when it's cold. Put the drain plug back in and put a temp gauge on there. The temp gauge, if these were equipped with one, they weren't regularly equipped with a temp gauge, because the only time that I know they had one was if they had a radiator shutter. But the temp gauge went right here. And so it had a little piece of sheet metal that held it up, and it just sat there like that. Like a 51 tractor that was junked out, and a 56 tractor that was junked out and made 2 out of 1. I don't even know what tin work to put on this tractor because I have 3 different kinds. You tell me, what do you think I should do? Super A, 100, 130. It can't be a 140 because the water pump's in the wrong place for a 140. I'm pretty sure the 140 run, the water pumps were always on the top. I didn't even know you could put a C113 head on top of a C123. But, you know, I don't know what to say. In 51, they still had a Super C. So I guess it could be a Super C head. I just don't even know what I've got here or what to do or what sheet metal to put on it. Like I said, I've got sheet metal up the yin-yang. So generally speaking, you can determine the age of the tractor by the serial number tag, and keep in mind those will be in different places for different models and sometimes for different years. If that is missing, generally, and I say generally, you can find different clues on the tractor that'll tell you approximately what month and year that it was assembled. Unless you've got one of these kind of tractors that looks like a Franken tractor, and then I guess, is it a 51 or a 56? Do I split the difference and call it a 53? You be the judge. I've got sheet metal for everything. Tell me what I should do. Comment down below. If you haven't already, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, etc. Love to hear from you, and I appreciate all that you do. Thank you for watching.